Connor. I haven't seen him for a long time.
How are you, dear?
Good, how are you?
Good seeing you. I read your articles frequently.
I don't need to put my mask on if I stay 6 feet away, right?
Yeah. I can't call that far.
I hate these masks, but
Well,
I'll wear it.
it's a necessary evil, you know.
Right.
John, did you bring your folder?
Huh?
Did you bring your folder?
Although I think I already have it.
Do you?
Take off.
I lost complete sense of taste and smell for 5 days back in March. Complete. I couldn't even taste the dill pickle. My sister, she said, chances are I had it. I haven't been tested, but.
Well, there were some other people that I knew, they said, their family kind of, they thought it was just the flu, but it was way back in February.
I did have fever, yeah.
Yeah. And they were sick.
Did you get tested?
I had the blood test.
Yeah, did you?
Like one.
And?
You don't have the antibodies. Which means I didn't have. Yeah.
You're a carrier.
No, it was negative.
What's that?
It was negative.
Just as well.
That's good.
I haven't had anything.
I guess given my age, I'm in the high risk category, so I shouldn't have a problem getting a test.
That's what I said.
I won't have to stand in line and
I said,
beg, grovel.
I said to Bob Raleigh that one day, I had it. And, I said, I hope I don't have it. And then I said, I am older age.
So that's what you said.
Hey, 65 or older, you're in.
No, 16.
Well, I
Oh,
got,
it's 60? Oh, well then, I'm well there.
I got the tooth pulled and it's okay, so I'm still here, not sick.
You're okay. I don't know how to fix it.
Put Band-Aid on this.
That's why I just want to make sure it's still open.
Perfect. They don't have much of an argument.
Is that typical?
Yeah.
Oh, these are different policy.
Yeah.
This policy is not good. No, they.
We need an executive session. Yeah.
She's so lovely. Maybe she'll sit. Sorry. What can I do?
All right, welcome to the June Wdwrd Township meeting. We'll start with a pledge to the flag. We don't have our normal flag out here. We got a little tape-up deal over here on our board there, so if everybody could stand and face that. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to break off into an executive session here to start things off tonight. So we have to discuss some personnel matters. I have a motion that we go into an executive session.
I'll make the motion to the executive session.
I'll second.
Roll call: Wayne,
Aye.
John, and myself. Aye. We'll be back shortly. So,
Yeah.
There, yeah, right over there where the flag is. Okay. Her and the dog. I don't know where the dog. No, she was.
Someone else something in Colorado.
Yeah, there's,
This is an art.
yeah, I didn't,
So she's the only one, and neither was ever the dish. Really nailing on.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Convene our regular township meeting.
I'll make a motion to reconvene.
Roll call, Wayne.
Aye.
John. And myself, aye. I'm going to make a motion that John Barth becomes the head of office personnel here at the township.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, Wayne.
Aye.
John. And myself, aye. And also, that our zoning officers are under no direction of the supervisors of this township, that they are their own separate entity, and they are to handle business amongst themselves and with our solicitor. So I have a motion to that effect.
I'll second.
Roll call, Wayne.
Aye.
John. And myself, aye.
Sorry, I missed that motion, I apologize. What is the motion?
That the zoning officers are under no direction of the township supervisors. that they are their own separate entity.
Who seconded it?
Wayne, or John did, and,
I second.
yeah, Wayne seconded it.
And everybody was in favor?
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to our minutes here. I need to clear something up here before we go any further with our minutes. Everybody's human and makes mistakes, and I overlooked something last month, but I didn't see them. They were tucked behind our one of our prior work sessions, but our March 17th minutes are in here, and I did not review them at that meeting, and I have some concerns with them. So there's some points I'd like to touch on. I know we had an issue where the recorder was lost for that meeting. So do we have that recorder, Jackie, or no?
I haven't found it.
So I was notified about that at our April meeting just prior to the start of it. And I said at the end of that meeting when Jackie and us supervisors spoke that we could just get together and try to generate some minutes, but I was not part of this minutes here, so I don't know who helped generate them, but I'd like to go down through them and try to sort some things out here that I feel are incorrect on this. You guys haven't had them by any chance with it? The minutes from that meeting? Under the road report, we discussed our road project that was taking place out in Crow Hollow. We had some discussion there about some checks that were to be written out of certain accounts there. I mean, we came to an agreement there. A lot of that was left out there. The money was to come originally from the general fund with the exception of the paving, which was to come from state aid. And we had a little bit of a disagreement at the beginning of that meeting as to where that money was to come from. Under recreation report, there was another discussion about concerts that we had last year for a band that was scheduled at the park. There was discussion about where the money was to be taken from originally, and we said about originally it was coming from the general fund, but when the checks were written, they were taken from the recreation. We agreed at that meeting that at the end of this year, $4,000 is going to be taken from the general fund and put back into the recreation fund once we had looked at the budget in December and determined what
We determined where.
what code it was going to be coded from, which that's not mentioned in there. The other issue was discussion with grant writing. There was a long discussion about some issues going on here at the township with our grants. The only thing in here it says is Cindy was no longer going to write grants for the township due to the disrespect she received from Supervisor Coleman. Supervisor Coleman said he disagrees with Ms. Love's comments. There was further discussion. At that discussion, Cindy had mentioned that Julie Brennan was not happy with this township, and if she had her way, the township would no longer receive any grant funding, which me, being a supervisor, felt I needed to go speak with Julie. Julie claims that's not true. She said she never said that. The other thing that Cindy brought up was that she did not receive any pay from the township for doing grant writing. That was not true. That was my disagreement that I felt. I disagreed with Cindy about. We wrote some checks a couple years ago to Cindy for grant writing.
I think her statement was, Kyle, since I came on board.
What's that?
Her statement that night was she did not receive anything since I came on board.
And that's not true.
There was one.
Yeah, there was 3 invoices submitted for a total of $2,300.
Right, and I said I didn't want to pay, but you guys, you voted, you guys discussed it and said yes, because it was the multimodal grant, and you felt it needed to be paid. So you did, and I wrote you a note after that and apologized to you for saying that.
Well, I just want to make it clear because the public didn't get that apology.
Right, well, that was to be
So,
brought out to them.
And the fact that we paid out for grant writing, and I just want to be very clear about that.
You're right.
So, the skid steer purchase, which we've passed history now, but that was to be tabled there. And we were going to look at quotes and stuff for rent equipment to fill in the bank out at Randy's, which that never happened then.
I got it.
Yeah, but I'm saying we had Pine Creek Township ended up doing the work for shoving the stuff over the bank out there.
Originally, we probably had equipment that we didn't have.
And then the sewer position stuff, with our hiring a third person. Which I think we're probably going to cover tonight here, there was discussion about we need to work on the hours for the sewer office because of seasonal stuff. So those hours, I guess we can iron that stuff out here tonight. Those are, I guess, my biggest concerns that I think need to be noted on those minutes. And also, it says there was a motion made to break into executive session to discuss sewer issues. It was not to discuss sewer issues, it was to discuss fire company issues. Mike Fetzer brought up at that meeting about,
I had sewer issues in my notes.
well, we should correct the minutes because it's,
Kyle, that's right, it was. And it's on the legal stuff with Bobby. And
that may have been part of it, but I think we should add fire on there as well with the sewer because there's fire topics discussed in that executive session about the things Mike brought up, that meeting about the attorney having concerns about them taking fire tax money because of us having a right to the building if they accept funds from us. So that was brought up in the public meeting, and we stuck around at the end of the meeting and discussed that in an executive session. So I think that we should just make a note, we should just add that to the executive session there to discuss sewer and fire company issues.
Just say legal matters.
There's some things going on here at this township that, I just want to be spot on with what we're putting out there, so nothing's coming back on this township. So all I'm saying is we discussed fire company issues in that meeting, and it's not noted on there, so I don't want anything coming back on us about that. So I think that's it for that meeting. For our last meeting, did everybody get a chance to take a look at these minutes and read over them and see if there's any issues or questions or concerns with what took place last month here? You guys have anything? Anybody have any questions about our minutes from the prior meeting? Do I have a motion to accept prior month's minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Roll call, Wayne.
Aye.
John. Myself, aye. Our financial report, Jackie, can you do our financial report?
checking ending balance $11,188.47. And the fire tax checking account ending balance $87,237.45. For the sewer accounts in the general fund, ending balance May 31st $112,812.62. And the special fund ending balance $409,544.70. And the bond account ending balance $532,118.52.
Do I have a motion that we accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, Wayne.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Bills to be paid?
Out of the general fund for the township, bills totaling $43,297.31. Out of the fire tax accounts, $6,099.60. Out of the recreation fund, $2,128.30. Out of state aid, $4,352.99. Out of the sewer accounts, general fund, $2,316.83. Out of the special fund, $34,165.75. Out of the bond account, $26,945.60.
Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
I got one on Murray Motors. I think we're gonna have to pay that bill. They warranted the injector pump in the rails, but the only way they would warranty that is to put another original equipment tank back on. The laminate comes off the inside and takes the pumps out and the rails. But if you didn't buy or take that tank, they didn't tell us that. If you don't put their tank in, they didn't warranty it was actually out of warranty. So we got some, either we put a new plastic tank and get rid of that tank that is eventually going to give us another problem.
Yeah.
Or ride it out, decide what we're going to do. Because the truck was actually out of warranty.
Yeah.
That's the second time that tank's
You said it had issues with the tank already.
So, I don't know if we have an option but to pay it.
Yeah.
What's that? No, Murray Motors.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to pay it,
I think we're gonna have to pay it, but then we gotta decide what we're gonna do.
but yeah.
When was the invoice due for Murray Motors?
This month.
What, you say something about ribbies?
Yeah.
What about ribbies?
But we gotta decide what we're taking that money out of.
Do we have an invoice for that? Is there a check written out yet or no?
Yeah.
That's for the black model.
That's for sealing and,
Oh,
crack sealing and,
Well, I'm gonna reiterate what I said about it. So if you guys choose to decide otherwise, that's your prerogative, but I'm not in favor of taking that money out of our special fund for that, our Act 13 money. So there was a budget created for that fire tax. It was listed on that budget. So the people were told that here's the budget and here's why we need this amount of money because we have to do this. So now we're talking about taking money from Act 13 to pay for a bill that was budgeted in the fire tax.
this was actually, Kyle, if you go back, we had told them to do this before the fire tax. And at that time, we had stated, am I right, Mike, that we would take it out of Act 13 then?
What was talked about, at this point, I could care less.
That was,
You guys.
that was last year when we were talking about all the things that needed done over there.
You talked about that in the special meetings we had over at the firehouse with the fire tax.
Right.
So you were taking that money out of the grant money, the special money.
It was talked about before the fire.
That's what you
budget
told
was put
everybody
together.
that thing about that, sealing the parking lot, plus doing the concrete work up above was coming out of the Act 13.
No. What?
That come out of your mouth, Tom, in that meeting.
George, if you want to talk, you have an opportunity from the floor. Right now, we're in our meeting, okay?
Sorry about that.
So, what was said over at the fire tax meeting was, I wanted to use money from Act 13 and from our general fund and do a half-mil tax. They voted not to. They voted to do a 1 mil. So in the budget, it was put in there for it. That's where it should come from. That's my opinion. If you guys don't want to do it that way, that's fine.
But what we're saying is where it started was before there was a fire tax, am I right? Passed.
We talked about it way before the fire tax, and that we could offer money out of Act 13. However, we created a budget for the fire tax, and that was part of the fire tax. So, I mean, to me, rightfully, that's where it should come from.
Well, that's what we're.
I mean, we put it out there to the public that, hey, we need to do a 1 mil tax because we need 130 some $1,000, and here's the things that make up what it is. I mean, I didn't create this budget.
Bobby, is it legal to come out of the fire tax? Is that part of something that parking lot that it can, I mean, when he sat to us to throw the budget together?
Off the top of my head, I wouldn't want to make a guess at it, but I would have to think that it's basically for fire purposes. My gut reaction would be appropriate, and the other question would be is whether or not it was in fact included in the budget.
Well, it was included in the budget, but we
If
got
the
down to
tax
some,
was
whether it is an appropriate use or not,
of Act 13 money or out of the fire fund?
out of the fire fund.
It's appropriate out of both. But I think the issue why this is getting brought up is because, like Mike had said at a prior meeting, their lawyer told them that he was dealing with another township that was having problems. Irregardless, the fire company was being told that the township could take
I
over.
did not have an opportunity to speak to the attorney who is currently representing the fire company.
Right.
So I cannot answer that question. And the other part of it is that is a legal matter, and until you get some further response and some legal direction, personally, my opinion is you should probably table the issue so that it can be researched.
Well, we'll probably have to move on fairly quick because
Well, I don't
there's
think you
an
should need
invoice.
dirt tonight if you don't know, because I don't know.
Well, I think what was discussed was the concern was not using the fire tax for some of these funds that were listed, or for some of these expenses, because the concern was that this other township was coming in and telling that fire company, hey, we now own your building because we gave you money to do.
Kyle, I don't know the background of this other municipality.
Well, I know, but I'm saying that's what Mike told us, and when we had talked to you, we said about setting up an agreement with our fire company that we would not do that to them in the event that 10, 15, 20 years from now, us three are not the ones sitting here, and that a new board of supervisors could come in here and say, hey, this township gave you $20,000 to put a roof on, we now have a right to this building. That's what we were trying to protect from happening with those guys. So I think that's why the concern came up, hey, maybe we should start taking some of these expenses somewhere else. But in reality, the Act 13 is still taxpayer money. So it's still the same, essentially. It's just a different name on the account. So whether we give them Act 13 money or...
Well, Act 13 money comes from the gas industry.
But it's taxpayer funds.
But
So technically, that's this township's taxpayers' funds. So if we give them Act 13 money, it's the same scenario that, hey, Wdwrd Township can now take the Dunstown Fire Company over because they gave them, I don't know, $15,000 to make loan payments or something. That was the issue that was brought to the table that night in March.
I think we got to table that check until we find out legally.
Yeah, I'm quite frankly, I'm not even sure what your question is.
Well, whether legally or how it's coming out of the fire, does it put the fire company in jeopardy of this township being able to say, we put money in your lot, now we're coming after your building.
But I think we're trying to.
I can't conceivably envision that because the second-class township code enables you to maintain fire equipment, apparatus,
Yeah.
buildings, what have you, and that doesn't mean that you actually necessarily you own it.
I think where we
You're
left it at
maintaining it. It's what you're doing. You're not buying it.
right. I think where we left at that meeting was you were going to check into having some resolution drawn up that would protect them from any board of supervisors coming in here and saying that. The only way that this township would take over that fire company is if they completely disbanded and left the place. Then it would resort back to us. But I think we wanted something in writing to protect them from that happening. So that when we're giving them taxpayer money, that we can't come in.
I don't remember Bobby looking into any of that.
Now,
It was at the March meeting when Mike first brought the issue up that, hey, there's a problem that we need to talk about.
to be honest with you, if my understanding is the fire company dissolves, it goes, if there's any equity in it, it goes to the members of the company. It doesn't go back to the township. So, I mean, that's,
We should
I can
probably-
tell you that, that's definitely my understanding.
Then how, I mean, it's nothing against those guys, I'm 100% behind them, but if that's the case and we're giving them fire tax money, and let's say that, I don't know, we build the place up and then they say, "Oh, we're done," then where's the township, how does the township protect itself from something like that happening?
It would probably have to purchase the building.
How do we do that if they divvy it up?
You
between
can
the members?
condemn it.
I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be looked into that, so it's buttoned down.
I'm gonna say we table paying that bill temporarily.
Until you,
Well, I need to know why you're distinguishing between the Act 13 and the tax funds, tax. I have no clue where you're going with it.
do you feel, if you feel secure that we have no grip or obligation on their building, I'll make a motion to pay it out of the fire tax.
I don't see where you have any.
Well, then I make the motion that we'll pay Rippy out.
I really don't. I mean, unless there's something that I'm not catching here.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was just brought up to us that the fact that they take some of these allocated monies for
If these were
building
going
stuff.
to be an obligation that they have back to the township, then eventually you're going to incur a sufficient amount of an obligation that's going to offset the value of the property. But you're not doing that. That's basically a contribution from the township. It's essentially a gift.
Well, contribution from taxpayers.
Well, whatever, but I'm saying from
Yeah,
from here to there.
yeah.
I feel comfortable we'll pay it.
Okay.
So we're gonna add that bill to
Which one?
the Rippy asphalt ceiling,
To which account?
the fire tax one. And I mean, should we look into having something drawn up that we're protected and they're protected in the event? I mean, I feel like we have an obligation to our taxpayers. We just put this tax in, and now there's like a lot of uncertainty with some things.
Is there an existing mortgage against the property?
I was talking to our lawyer, that's why I wanted you two to talk.
Okay, well, let's just table it and
Well, we're gonna pay the bill, but I guess what we're looking for is maybe for you to communicate. Is that what we wanna do? Have him communicate with their lawyer about how something should be established that we're protected?
We table paying first, I guess. Would you feel
no, if I were you, I would pay it out of your tax fund, not the Act 13. If I were to pick between the two, I think there would be less
We don't want to leave them.
scrutiny.
How much are we talking here?
They're doing work. We don't want to leave them.
What's the bill? Yeah.
What is the bill for?
$100,000 and change.
How much again?
9,000 and change. I don't have
Right.
it.
She said 9 something?
6,000.
Is it 6,000?
Yeah, it's not 9,000.
$6,909.90.
What is it?
$6,909.90.
You're making numbers.
Yep, I have it.
Okay, thanks, Trevor.
You're welcome.
So we have, I think Wayne made the motion and John seconded that we would go ahead and pay Rippies out of the fire tax fund.
Do we have a vote?
Roll call, Wayne.
We better do all of it now. Because we was discussing
So-
Murray and then,
Yeah.
so I'll make a motion to pay all the bills.
Roll call, Wayne.
Aye.
John and myself. All right. Correspondence, Eric Wales, soccer shots, permission to use the park. That's routine, Jackie, same as prior years.
It is.
He's always been.
And he got all the insurance and everything?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Roll call, Wayne.
Aye.
John, myself, All right. Sorry it's taking so long to get to this point, but is there any comment on any of the stuff that's on the agenda? Now is your chance to ask ahead of time about anything on there. Once we get into it, we like to do it uninterrupted, and then you'll have your chance at the end there from the floor if you'd like to say anything.
Can I go now? Did you ask for you with the fire tax? That agenda, since we already discussed it? Or do you want it from the floor?
From the floor.
Okay, I can wait.
Anybody?
So on the meeting minutes, when we were discussing it, you said back in March, we couldn't find a tape recorder, and I don't see the tape recorder out now, so this is now the 4th meeting without a tape recorder. Is there any idea when we're going to replace it?
There is no requirement really to pay.
Well, if we're having an issue with the meeting minutes not being recorded properly, isn't that a good idea to keep them on hand?
Well, but we went through the COVID stuff and everything else.
I probably should have.
I mean, I'm sure that Steve's got one. If we had to, minutes notice, right?
Jackie, that one that you had, how did that, was it on a tape or was it?
No, it's just electronic. But I have to say, that was a very long meeting, a lot was said, and the recorder was being used. So not many notes were taken, minimal notes were taken.
Right.
So there, because I relied on the tape.
Yeah.
So
That's fine, I
So
just-
I relied on my notes. Well, I didn't,
Yeah.
they said that they're wrong. But,
That's fine.
minimal notes were taken.
My
The
point
recorder
was
there,
that,
but somehow it disappeared.
anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question, please. Mr. Coleman, you said you didn't see these notes, and I don't understand why. The minutes, why, I don't understand, were you on vacation, or?
No, from that prior meeting?
Yeah,
No, they were just on the back side of another one, so I saw the front one as March 11th, I think was our work session date. I didn't look at the
Okay.
back side of that page, so I just continued through, but I guess what I was waiting for, and I was trying to make my point, was that at the end of that meeting, I had said that we could get together and come up with minutes for that, but I was not sought after about that, so I don't know what notes you used or if anybody helped you write those minutes, but I wasn't involved with it, so that's why.
Well, I did bring up to you, I said I'm having trouble with this, and you said, oh, just do the best you can, make them simple. That's what you did tell me.
We had no discussion after the March meeting about it.
Said do the best you can.
All right. We go with public comments then? Department reports, our first one is sewer report. Wasn't the 21 Oral Road down there old business
It
previously?
was, and then you said, put the sewer report.
Yeah, I just meant like our department reports, like to put the sewer report and the road and recreation back on. We'll put the 21 Oral Road back under old business. So sewer stuff, you guys can you update us on anything? I know it's been rough the past few months here. We've been a little slow. Is there any? Yeah.
hopefully next week.
Yeah. You guys sent an email out today. Did you guys see the email they sent about the suggested hours?
Yeah.
So I guess now would be a good time to talk about this. I'm just going to pull this up quick on the email. For summer hours, which was the April 1st to October 31st, they put Monday field from 7 to 1, office from 1 to 4. Tuesday, field all day, 7 to 4. Wednesday, they're closed. Thursday, field from 7 to 4 all day. And Friday, field 7 to 1, office 1 to 4. So Monday and Friday match, Tuesday and Thursday match, and then Wednesday they're closed. And then in the winter hours, November 1st to March 31st, Monday, field, well, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Fridays, field 7 to 12, office 12 to 4, and then closed on Wednesdays. So we want to, I know back at the end of February,
Are we
said
better
this.
going with the 7 to 3, 5 days a week, and then the road crew has, are you okay with that, Mike? That way the road crew has some help there.
My only issue is when I took this position, I have kids, so I use that day for taking them to the doctor
On Wednesdays.
or any other day.
Well,
So,
are you saying still keep Wednesday closed, but just do 7 to 3 instead of 7 to 4?
Yeah. As far, no, like Mike would be working,
I hate it.
Oh, okay.
he would be working right with the same hours as the road crew.
Okay, so then I guess this would apply to Alicia, and then Mike would follow the 7 to 3 schedule with the regular road guys.
That
Okay,
way you start Wednesday, which is off.
and you're okay with it working Wednesdays as well?
I think that's what we gotta do, is do Randy and Terry coverage on that day.
Okay.
Because ordinarily, you're pretty, you don't schedule anything, it's an emergency.
And we're still good with them doing the park stuff for the first hour or two in the morning. I mean, I thought that went pretty smooth last year, I don't know. Did you guys have problems with that, or?
Some days are a little worse than others.
Right,
For the most part, within an hour and a half to an hour.
right. So we're still, clear there.
None of it might be some of the days that are full.
Well, the road stuff takes priority over that, so Alicia would, if you're doing the bathrooms that day, and somebody stuffed the baby doll down the toilet, it's all you, if Mike's out on the road. That's happened before.
I'll call you 3 for the summer.
So we're good with that then? Yeah.
As long as it's gonna work out for Mike.
Okay. So you're, in the event that the guys do need help on the road, that's your first obligation.
Okay,
Yeah.
just on Wednesdays, or,
Any day, because we don't know what they're gonna be doing, it could be,
well, what about our sewer infiltration? Like, we had a lot of stuff
well, I guess that should be,
Pump station.
Like that?
yeah, that's first priority.
there. To me, I feel like infiltration is a big issue because of what we have to pay the city.
Right.
We're not doing any maintenance on that, and he's gonna be pushed to the road crew. Over that,
Well-
then we're left
And
with,
just the road.
That's not gonna be every day.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some instances where they might need help with something, so.
And the road taking precedence would just be over the, I'll say, the park.
Correct.
oh, yeah, over the park.
This pump station stuff is still gonna take precedence over basically anything for you to.
Right. Okay.
Tablet situation, we need to do something with that for them. That way when they're out doing that map, the mapping thing, so we need to.
We Jack it help.
All right, so that, probably should get the ball rolling on that if you guys are gonna be out and going, checking stuff.
So when do these hours start?
We'll make it effective next week. I'm gonna do a no pay week. Yeah.
Start
So the tablet, I'm trying to get some other topics we've talked about.
Our flow has been a little lower the
Yeah, we
last
haven't
few
had
days due to the rain.
Rain. I know, the sewer credit card. We have a credit card for the general and one for the sewer. I feel they should be keeping the sewer one over there in the event there's an emergency or something. I know Jackie has both of them here now, but if, say Jackie's off work or it's an after, I don't know, I'm just saying could be a scenario where they may need that credit card. And we've already given them approval last year that they were able to spend up to $500 without even talking to us, but I mean, I think there's a $2,000 limit on that card. I think it's $2,000, but I think they should have that handy in the event Mike, I don't know, needs something that we're not hooked up with a vendor and we need to get it, you know, that it's available to them.
Yeah, as long as our credit card receipts comes into the office the next day.
Yeah, it'd be the same as your billing, the way you guys have been doing that, whatever, getting stuff to Jackie.
Kyle, did they sign an affidavit to have it? Saying that, you know, if they purchase something other than sewer stuff on there, they're responsible for paying it back?
Yeah, we should all really think about that.
I'm sorry.
She asked if we have like an affidavit that they should be signing for the credit card. That way, if in the event the card would get used for something that's not sewer related, they're responsible to pay it back. The way to protect it.
And essentially,
No, I think that's pretty much inferred, because if they use it for something they're not authorized to do it, essentially it's embezzlement. So it's pretty much, and I'm assuming that you're probably bonded as well.
Jackie checked into that already.
Pardon?
Jackie checked into that already. She said that we fall under the township.
Well, then, you're covered.
So you guys will hold on to that. It's obviously only for sewer related items. You know, that's all it says.
Especially if she gets to Jackie.
Yeah.
Next day.
The other issue that I want to bring up, because I've signed a couple of checks now, and I've kind of questioned it, is originally we had to use Charlie Kluge for our license holder down there until Mike had gotten his certificate, which Mike has had that now for 6 months or better. All right, so yeah, even longer. And we kept Charlie at top, and then Mike underneath. We did 400 to Charlie, and 200 to Mike on that monthly payout for that, for their having a license. Well, it did switch, so now Mike's 400 and Charlie's 200. But my recommendation, nothing against Charlie, I like him, I'm friends with him. However, he does not operate our pump system. He's never been to operate it. And we only need one license holder for that. So I feel that we're spending $200 a month to Charlie that we probably don't need to. And in reality, my opinion, is we should consider giving Alicia $2 extra an hour. Yeah, but I mean,
You're working on yours already.
I'm studying for it. Now Toby's got everything messed up. That's the biggest.
she's on call.
We don't need a backup, like, no, I mean licensed backup.
She's on call for the system. If Mike can't go, she knows how to run it and is going to run it. So she's not even being compensated for it. We're giving money to somebody else. So I feel we should probably stop paying Charlie $200 and consider giving Alicia $2 extra an hour for being on call or our backup person for it. I mean, she's kind of serving as a secretary, a road, or a field worker, and now she's also doing, she's on backup on the sewer station.
That's $2 an hour for 40 hours?
36.
36.
So we were paying $200 out for nothing.
Yeah, we'll be up to 288.
I'm not concerned about $88 a month. I mean, we just spent $70,000 for a skid steer. I mean,
I'm just splitting the difference in here.
I get that, but to me, I think she's worth $2 extra an hour. She's being on call for that stuff. We're not paying her, she's not gonna get overtime. If she goes down there for a couple hours, she's not getting overtime. So if she has to come in on a weekend, I mean, she's getting her normal rate. I mean, I know a lot of places, they have call out, you get like a minimum 4 hours, you know, for going out.
Well, or we could stay at just $2 an hour when she gets certified, or she's still getting $2 an hour plus.
Well, I don't know, that's something we need to discuss, but in reality, we only need one license holder over there.
Well, that's what we did.
So,
Are we gonna up the expenses right now, $288, and maybe in August or whenever she becomes certified, add another $200 or $300 onto it?
yeah, I
I
don't,
can just do 2
Two.
hours.
And just-
Freeze it at
I mean, that's
It's
the
already gonna be over
understanding.
the 200, but
I mean, that's the understanding going forward, that
yeah, I think that's the equivalent.
4 or 5 months from now, it
Yeah.
would be, let's say,
Yeah,
200 or 300 on top of that.
yeah. I got something, sorry. Eyelash or something. But yeah, that's the equivalent, so, yeah, it's,
Well, that's what I mean.
yeah, just let with that.
We're not going to take double something.
Right. We good with that?
yeah. Bring your motion for that.
And then also effective Monday.
Yeah, really sure.
When's Charlie paid through?
Charlie's paid through June 30th.
And he was paid at the beginning of the month for June.
Correct.
So we already paid that out, so.
We started July 1st.
Wow.
With her, well, yeah, I mean, technically,
Take Charlie off now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna take Charlie off
Yeah.
first.
yeah.
Yeah, at least we can start next week.
All right, so do I have a motion that we remove Charlie at the end of this month off of our, I don't know, what do you want
Is he on paperwork at all?
He's on secondary for the paperwork. I have to just go in there and take it off that he's
Okay.
not secondary. Because we don't do the secondary, but
Yeah. See, as of July 1st, you can
I can,
pull him off.
to? Yeah. So do I have a motion that we remove Charlie at the end of this month and give Alicia a $2 an hour pay raise effective on Monday, this coming Monday? I don't know what that date is, but 22nd, starting that week that she's increased $2 an hour.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I'm not gonna repeat all that.
Yeah. Roll call, Wayne,
Aye.
John, and myself, so 22nd. John made the motion, Wayne seconded it. Okay.
may I ask a question about the hours? So we're gonna keep those so we can announce to the public for like every year coming forward?
I think we should.
That way we
so
can,
it's-
that way we can just be normalcy, you know,
Yeah.
year after year, unless there's obviously a problem with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just post them over there or whatever, you know.
yeah.
If they're on one of your bill heads, you can't change it, on it, send it out that way.
Yeah, there's nothing on
Yeah,
the
just
bill.
post it over there.
Would I be able to get a copy of those hours or the email?
Yeah, I'll forward you the email. Yeah. Okay. Anything for sewer stuff?
You guys got over
Yeah.
the house down
Yeah.
here.
Hey,
I know we got a lot going on last month, but, we go back and this that connection fee being changed.
Oh, yeah. yeah, so, yeah, the tap on fee, plus we need to get something in there about, you know, when they go out and do inspection of houses, so we agreed on charging them something.
Yeah, might do some paperwork on that. For an average, or what?
You remember we discussed that, like whenever a house gets sold in this township, that they need to have, we require an inspection so we can
I
charge.
think we gotta pick that up for next month. Like, get through all the information again.
I know Baltimore Township does that. I'm not sure how much they charge.
Mike had
I have no.
But, I know when y'all talked about it before, what was it, go on with charge 175 or 150?
I think we said 150 on the inspections.
Yeah.
Because depending on the township, some are high, some are lower. I think Casimir charges 200.
Right.
Every township, none of them are the same.
We'd like that roll for next month.
I think we gotta move it to the next one, I'm not thinking.
You should probably have a written resolution.
Yeah,
too.
that's,
Yeah.
so we can give you the info
Yeah.
to move forward with that for next month. Which we did advertise already once for the resolution on the tap fee, which was
You
advertised.
don't really have to advertise for that,
Okay,
as long as it's a regular meeting.
okay. We should probably get that buttoned down too as well.
The other, how,
You guys reduced your tap fee, didn't you?
To 1,800, but we, did we ever make it official?
no,
Yeah.
that's,
I mean, we let the one go, but,
Everybody agreed on it and then nothing else
but
happened.
it had to be ordinance or something.
yeah, the resolution, I think, needed to put in place, and we never approved it. It was done up, it was
Yeah, I
advertised.
thought
Yeah,
something had been done.
Mike, down on the Swissdale Road, you know where the end of the line's at, that, I don't know what you want to call it, roadway or something. We'll have to keep an eye on that, see people spray that and kill all the,
Still vegetation.
Over where, that issue was?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that, well, like, what is that, I'm gonna call it, bridge that goes across there?
Our,
They sprayed the whole thing.
our right of way.
Yeah.
kill all the vegetation, it's gonna be washing out.
The main problem, yeah, we don't have hot water, but there's nothing there to hold it back in.
So we'll have to, I know we looked at it before about fixing it, so we're gonna have to do something with it.
Keep it all, actually, we should just go ahead and get something, get some schedule on that, get it done.
yeah,
The one pipe on the backside, from what I was told, we better,
yeah.
needs restucking, table, laid up around with something.
Right. All right.
What was the discussion prior to what Wayne just talked about? I couldn't hardly hear you guys. It was about your telephone fee and something else.
The inspection fee.
And it was, you want a resolution for both?
Yeah, we need to put something in place with the inspection fee and the tap on fee with the changes.
You're gonna give me the amounts, right?
Let's just decide on right now, so there's no, we discussed 150 and for the inspection, 1,800 for the tap on. So we still,
And that's it.
150, I don't have a problem with that. To have with the 1,800 was just the sewer budget. I know we don't get that many of them, that's the only issue here. We don't, it's not affecting it a whole lot.
Yeah, I think we gotta have a discussion on it.
Well, is, whenever y'all discussed it, Mr. Webb was here.
yeah.
He was discussing it because he had property that was not, people weren't willing to buy it because of it.
Right.
So when y'all were discussing that, I know he was there
Yeah,
at that meeting.
yeah.
I think we gotta put that on for next month.
And just myself, I would recommend, say, sometimes people buy a house with it, and then resell it again in 3 months. Maybe in that resolution, if it's within 3 months, that we don't have to re-inspect it, if we just inspected it. If it's within 3-month period.
I
So,
think that's reasonable. Yeah, that's a good idea.
We had to do all here.
So what Bob is to prepare a resolution for the inspection fee for $150.
And then next month.
Tap on
is-
for 1,800.
Well,
Well, that's on hold. That's
Yeah.
on the agenda next month.
Oh, you want that on hold on? Okay. You want a resolution for next month? For the cash back fee? Oh, good.
yeah, I mean, we should. We know we're gonna
So you
do
want
it.
it for both then?
Well, why can't we just decide on this and right now and go with it? And have them do both at the same time.
I think we ought to take a check with it and have Jessica run some figures in the future, so.
You got all that? Alright, we good on that? Recreation reports? River, we announced this a couple months ago, but Riverfest is canceled due to all the COVID-19 stuff going on. We're trying to just kind of put something small together just to sell tickets to help raise money to pay for the fireworks and also still give away our grand prize of $1,000. Plus we're going to do $250 for second place and $100 for third place. So we're just trying to get those tickets sold to raise money for the fireworks. So
We're going to do something with fire company, that weekend.
Yeah.
So you guys are doing food sales over there Friday night and Saturday during the day. So what we discussed is we're just going to sell tickets over there and just do the drawing over there at 5 o'clock as if we were down here at the boat launch doing it. And hopefully that'll bring people there to buy tickets and also buy food, you know. So years past we've had prizes to give away, donations and things like that, but with that being done by the businesses in this town, it's not there this year. So trying to revamp it a little bit. So hopefully this works out, but we'll make the best of it.
Dunnstown will be there Friday night and Saturday night, or Saturday all day?
Saturday all day, right?
Yeah.
They have a flyer out too, I think, that's going to get posted about the info on it. So, all right. Our tourism grant, the fishing dock's installed, and there's a kayak dock that's attached to it as well. There's just a little bit of dress-up work that needs done leading down to the ramp there. But once we get to that here, we'll be good to go. People can still use it now. I'm just gonna get some signs, like put some like maximum capacity on it, so we don't got 20 people standing on it. You know, maybe put a 10-person maximum on it, and a couple other little stipulations, and have a thing on there as well about the tourism grant that was funded by that. So, road report. This is important info to get out to the public, Lana, please. Hall Baker is doing road widening this Thursday, and they're going to start paving Crow Hall then on Tuesday of next week. It could last into Thursday. So we need people to try and avoid that area as much as possible. It's a bad enough road as it is, and it's going to be congested out there with them paving.
Should they put signs up tomorrow? Sometimes call me.
I would imagine they're part of their crews, but I can call them and ask them if they can place some signs up, try and give people a hint. But yeah, I mean, Thursday they're going out to start the road widening, and then they'll be back next week on Tuesday to start paving. So.
This is Crow Hollow.
Crow Hollow, yeah.
Are they gonna pull in one pull or?
For the most part, I think there maybe is one spot they said that they might have to. There's a spot where it's just a touch over they might have to do, like behind the cemetery hill, it's pretty wide there in some spots.
Yeah.
So.
Everyone's got to widen that out there.
Right. Yeah.
It's nice, but it's wide.
Yeah. Other than that, the guys been out doing mowing that they normally do this time of year. I know they did some grading work on South Allegheny. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to the
Road a
road.
little bit of Crow Hollow.
Yeah, they, right there at Crook and Shirt,
Yeah.
where that comes out of the field, they work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their Hall Baker looked at that. They're going to try and do something with that now because whenever Darren wrote the estimate, it was flush up top, and now it's down off, so the milling machine's not going to be able to pick it up. So they're going to try and figure out something to do there with that area.
When we come down there, the water was running right
On the road.
underneath it,
Yeah.
coming underneath it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Old business. We moved the 21 Ora Road update down there, which that's our sewer house over here in Dunnstown. So there's been discussion going on now for a few months about what to do with that property, potentially sell it. You know, Wayne's brought up about moving the township offices over to there and making this whole building into a maintenance building. There's just a lot of ideas on the table that need to be figured out. So I don't.
There's more stuff coming on too, so.
Yeah, a lot of that will depend on what happens next week with meeting. May end up in
Yeah. So I guess we'll just keep that on the back burner for right now, see what's going to take place there. Go from there. policy and procedure manual update, we talked about this a year ago. And we need to get something in place there. I know we had handed some stuff out for things to be reviewed with our employees before, and they were to highlight things, but we need to try and set up something, and we all need to sit down together and come to terms on what people's job descriptions and duties are, because it has to be in place, and we don't have one in place, which is not good for this township. So, some things that I'll mention again that we had talked about before that I particularly don't want to wait until it's in place, but I keep harping about communication between all of us. That I would still like to see, I know Alicia's been doing them, Jackie used to do them, but is not doing right now, but the call reports. I don't need like a paragraph stating anything that's anything other than just, hey, somebody called, this is what they called about, keep it brief, 1 to 2 sentence thing, and have it emailed at the end of the day. That way all three of us are aware of what's going on. I've asked a handful of times that, not to tell me something or tell John something or Wayne something and rely on that all three of us are going to know about it, because we get busy, sidetracked, whatever. It's just easier if that's protocol at the end of the day. It's sent out to all of us, and that way we're all on the same page, and if something's on there we have questions about, we can call each other that night and talk about it or figure out what's going on. So, you guys have any issues with that, or?
So you and John and Wayne, you didn't want the call logs anymore. Do you want them again?
I have no concern for Jackie. I've seen no problem. And if you're going to have one, if we have a question, it's there.
So I particularly want one. So I've been left out of the loop too long on some things, and I need to know what's going on. So I don't want to rely on somebody else to remember to tell me or whatever the case may be. So I prefer to have it at the end of the day, each day. All right. The couple other things too. Going forward, I would like the minutes from the meeting done no later than a week after the meeting. That way it's fresh. And that way we have a whole 3 weeks to look at it. If there's an issue, we can talk about it or whatever. Because
I believe they always were up until this hit February.
No, not true. When we normally have 3 meetings, we had 8 meetings. We had the fire tax, the budget, all the talks, all the special meetings, the public meetings. We were bombarded with meetings back to back.
Yeah. I know there was.
Some meetings do take an incredibly long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot said, and as Kyle even stated, you don't have to have it word for word. You just need to, you shouldn't have it word for word. You should just paraphrase.
I'm fine with that, just as long as it doesn't change the context of what was taking place. So, but I think that the sooner the better on that way it can be reviewed. That way, if there's something, we can sit and talk about it and have things situated ahead of time. That way, when we come to the meeting,
I honestly think we ought to go back and work on the website so that it's up on the website that they can see it.
Yeah. A lot of townships have meetings from 5 years prior. That way, we talked about the website. Maybe we should continue with that. Get that back on track. I don't know if there's any problems with having one, but I know a lot of places do, and they posted their minutes there, Yeah, but
we should actually have all of our, eventually get all of our ordinance and everything on.
Right. So we'll work on that, but I guess at least going forward here, try and have the minutes done reasonable amount of time. I know stuff happens and things like that,
There's a
but
lot now that you've all put on my plate. So, and with the phones becoming busy again, with COVID being over, it's a little crazy at the office. And plus we get right to know requests and all kinds of things.
okay. The other thing is
We'll try.
the agenda. I think the agenda needs to be done, like, if we're going to get back on track with our work sessions, we need to have the agenda done for at that point. So I know things get busy, but I prefer not to get the agenda 3 hours prior to the meeting and not having a discussion with everybody what's going on. I'm just looking down here into new business, and there's things on here that I'm unaware of. They were not talked to me about. So I guess when we get to those points, somebody knows what it's about, that they can.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, somebody will mention something and we put it on.
I mean, it's just, once again, it's just a communication thing. I'd like us to be communicating on it prior to this meeting. That way we know what's going on. So if we can have the agenda maybe a week prior to our work session,
It has always been habit. I mean, you also file last-minute additions, and even sometimes we'll get to the meeting and you want to add things
That's
after
gonna happen.
the agenda's been out, and we get to the meeting and you say, I want to add this to the agenda right at the meeting.
I understand that's going to happen, but I'm just
We
saying,
all have to be on board with this.
I'm just saying I think we should have our agenda generated at our work session while that's the opportunity to build it, look things over, discuss things. So, is there any issues with that? Yeah.
Well, I think that since things opened up on backup, I think we'll have.
Yeah. Like I said, I understand things are going to get added, because maybe somebody called and they want to add this to it or whatever at the end. But I'm just asking for better communication on it and have it done ahead of time. That way we can sit and discuss things. That way it's a little bit smoother when we come in here.
Could I say something, please?
Sure.
No disrespect intended, but everybody knows the agenda. You three supervisors know there's an agenda every month. And if you think of something, you can call, which is what you usually do. I don't generate the agenda. You're the ones who tell me what to put on it. So it's up to you guys when the agenda is generated.
This isn't meant to target you. I'm just saying collectively as a group here while we're together that, hey, this is what we need to try and do.
We start doing work sessions here, we can take care of it at that.
Correct. Anything else? Yeah, move down to new business. The Ed Cox Law Edition.
Okay, Ed basically what he's doing is, he's doing a lot addition on 2 lots. He's just putting some off of his and giving it basically to his kids. And so there's really nothing to it. It's just, they're just drawing these and adding 2 lots that are bigger.
So we just need to make a motion to approve
Yeah, the
it.
planning commission already looked at it, the county already looked at it. Everybody's approved it at this point. It's just up to us now.
You're good with it on your end?
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
All right. I'll second the law edition. Roll call, Wayne?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And myself, aye.
It's in on the conference room table.
PA Infrastructure Bank loan?
Yeah, I had Jackie put that on, because if we're gonna look at maybe what we talked about before, of taking maybe like 2 or 3 years paving projects or road projects, there's quite a lengthy application for that. And what it does is usually, it saves money is what you're saying, because it might be at 1.5% or 2%, but each year paving is going to run out 4 or 5%. And then you get a better price on your paving if they can come in, only one move, do what would be 3 years projects, and then you pay it over either a 5 or 10 year period.
We can pay it soon if we want.
Yeah, you can pay it sooner.
The only way I'd be in favor of doing a PIB loan is if the interest rate is good enough on it that it's not worth taking money out of our checking account to pay for a project. Because the fact that we will have about $1 million in the bank between our general fund and our state aid checking. I audit PIB loans, and the townships that are doing them are broke.
Well,
They have like $25,000 in the bank, and they have to do that because they can't afford to pay.
but if you can save $15,000 or $20,000 over 3 projects, why wouldn't you look at it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we can get a fixed rate on the loan, and it's not gonna outweigh our what we're getting on our checking money coming in, interest, then it'd be something to look at. But we'd have to. I mean, that's a lot of calculation to try to figure out, what's what's the better route to go, whether we use our money out of checking or paying a loan with it, you know?
But in the long run, if we can, and there is savings there, I think it's worth looking at.
I mean, we currently get about, Jackie, $130,000 a year in state aid. Is that about right? 120, 130?
It went down this year, 116.
Okay. So typically, the paving projects that this township has done have been like $50,000, $60,000. So if we pick out a paving project each year, we're not really depleting our funds.
You're not completing it right now, but again,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to look at it. If it saves the township a few $1,000s,
It's all interest rates. It's all interest rates. So, okay. Yeah. Summer employee.
I was talking to Terry and Randy, and they said that they could use a part-time or summer employee. And they said about, like Mike could at times use them. And there's Aaron and Schultz that we had before, that they said was a good employee.
Yeah.
And it would only be for approximately 6 weeks.
That's all longer he's available for.
It is back to school.
I'm okay with that if he's just going to do that short
I'm
term.
okay with that, because my only thing with over hiring anybody was I didn't want to have to lay somebody off later.
Right. Yeah, he's
In this case, we know he's coming and going.
Yeah. If we can use him, I'm fine with it as long as people aren't staying around. So I don't want to.
I'll make a motion to hire.
I'll say that.
Roll call: Wayne,
Aye.
John, myself, aye. So Aaron Schultz.
Hey, what will his pay be?
I think $10 an hour is what we did before with him.
Because he's more qualified now. He was right out of high school now. Now he's almost a welder. He's had welding for 3 years and he's educated.
Yeah. Unless he's welding for us, I don't know.
I don't know which one we got to do or
Well,
raise.
I mean, he's been educated. He's had
Yeah,
schooling,
no.
college and,
I think he was being paid like $8.50 or $9 before here, wasn't he? It's been a little while.
I mean, I'm fine for 6 weeks at 10.
Yeah.
$10 an hour. All right. Part-time police position.
Yeah, Steve came to me. You want to explain what you told me, Steve?
Basically, I was, a while back, we had signed up Rich Simpson to work for us. He started here, works for the city. Main thing he does for us is a firearms instructor, so that's where we had it. And when we put him on, we actually allocated about 15 hours a week for him. He's never worked them. He's never had the chance to work them. He's always been busy in the city. Along those lines, Miles was put on part-time years ago and ended up working almost 40 hours a week. He's cut back a little bit. He's no youngster anymore. And so we're literally, he's probably cut back close to 30 to 40 hours a month. And so we do have some hours available. There's one gentleman that came recommended to me. He's just out of the, well, I shouldn't say just, he's been working for 6 months out of Mansfield. He lives locally, actually. And he'd be able to help us out more with weekend times and through the week. And I talked to him briefly about it. Didn't make him any promises. I just said, because he's looking for employment.
Right.
I told him to fill out, gave him an application, he took it home with him. I haven't gotten back from him yet. But I just happened to see Wayne the other day and approached him. I was going to try and sit down and see the tree is, but I knew the meeting was coming up. And just kind of wanted to throw that out there. We do have hours available. And it really wouldn't, for lack of it, cost us any more than what's costing us already.
Right. Can the schedule be revamped that we have different coverage?
They can be. We kind of discussed that a bit today with some of the coverages, what I'd like to see more and things like that.
Yeah, I know we had prior discussions about divvying up the weekends a little more to try and space things out and get some different coverage. So, I don't know, things can be revamped a little bit.
Are we having trouble with the park play at night or not?
Yeah, they're high school kids, I think, are parking down there and hanging out, and they're not really hurting anything other than the fact they're down there doing donuts. And last night I was down there, the kids were swearing across the parking lot, dropping the F word. And the biggest problem I see is they're leaving trash laying all over the parking lot when they leave there. So I don't know. I mean, it's hit and miss. It's one of those things that you don't know.
I think those are the same kids that hang over in the Wise parking lot out there by Dunkin'
I
Donuts.
think they might have got the boot.
I think they.
I get regular alarm sound.
Also, 10 o'clock at night when they were walking, the folks across there already left for the night. at 10
Right.
o'clock. There was kids on the roof.
Right.
When we approached the area, they feet it out.
Right.
They were actually men enough.
I know the one night Mike and I were up at our river lots and a kid drove his truck right through the park.
Not Saturday.
I don't know how to.
Yeah, there's a lot of need for some extra night coverage. There was an incident in Webwood just happened a couple of days ago. The state police were there for 3 or 4 different cars. It was a pretty big ordeal. So if we could get some more night coverage, that'd be great.
I think the biggest concern is if we bring somebody on just to work those times, how long are they going to stick around for? I mean, they're going to want their weekends and nights a little bit too. That's why I'm saying maybe.
Well, if we have 4 officers, they can each work a weekend.
Yeah. But hey, you said it, and I'm backing you up. It needs to happen. So I don't care.
4 officers, 4 weekends, that's a fair game to me.
Perfect, yeah. And they all can do some nights.
But,
Or at least till midnight or something.
I'll do during the day.
is to get another part-time.
That is, that occurred at
Nobody
like 9
wants
o'clock
to
the
say
other
when you
day.
do have coverage, but you can pretty much tell when you don't. So, yes, that's really a necessity.
Especially this summertime. Summertime, a Friday and Saturday night, all the river lots and all the extra activity going on. I mean, 10 o'clock at night, shit, there ain't nothing happening until after that.
I'm in favor of hiring a part-timer. However, everybody on our roster, staff, whatever, needs to work a weekend.
And I'll be in favor of hiring another part-time as long as there is some late coverage on weekends and that.
We don't, I mean, we really don't need people working 8 to 4 on Saturdays. We need them from 3 to 11 or 4 to midnight. Right. So preferably 4 to midnight.
7 to 2 or something like that.
The incident I was talking about was at 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 the other night.
I seen them going up through
So
there.
yeah, it was a pretty big deal. They still didn't catch the guy yet.
So I'll make the motion that we approve a part-time officer. Steve can find one if all 4 agree to work, split the weekends up.
Yeah.
They all need to be a part of the team. And I mean, I don't want to give my weekends up, but I'm not a cop either, so. I mean,
I'll second that. We hire them,
Okay,
we put that stipulation in, put the hours in where we want them in.
Yeah.
So we get some night coverage, something like that.
so 3 part-time officer, each work a weekend and.
Night kind coverage.
So I think maybe the 3 of us should sit down with the whole police department.
Yeah.
That way, we're all on the same page about it. And hey, here's what's going to take place.
And here we go, when they hire them, can be hired under those terms.
Right.
So that we can each month or it's,
Yeah.
And the new hire knows that that's
yeah.
what part of it's going to be.
Okay. All right. North Vista repair?
Oh, we need, there's a motion today.
Oh, we better vote on that.
Oh,
Do we make
We made a motion.
roll call? Wayne,
Aye.
John, myself, aye. All right. North Vista repair?
Yeah, I took and had, we talked about doing this before, and I asked Terry and Randy if they thought they'd have time this year, because we're gonna end up losing and paying a lot of money on that road. And I talked to Tom Will, and Tom thought our best idea or thing would be to do is to bring that road up this year with base, DSA, let it set, and then next year, as soon as the oil and chips start, put a double coat of oil and chip on it. Because it's gonna get a lot of farm equipment, we can't do anything about that, that falls in the crack, I guess. And,
Kevin needs something because the edges of it, there's not much of it.
And Terry and Randy, they measured it out at about 1,300 feet, needs repaired, base, ditch lines.
Is that, I mean, that road was just graded by Pine Creek, I
The
believe.
ditch line,
Right.
that's what Tom said, there's nothing there,
Right.
and we're gonna lose it.
Is there work that we can do out there?
We can do it all.
Yeah, we could do all of that.
Well, that's all.
So we're just talking about bringing Tom in next year to double
Yeah,
seal.
that's what I asked him,
Okay.
when would be the best time to dump the coating?
Yeah.
And he thought it should set over the winter and be ran, and
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
have to
yeah,
touch it up.
yeah.
Will that hold together during the winter that we're not gouging with plow and
Yes,
stuff?
they should.
Because I know we did that up there on Point Road and it got ripped up. So we'll have to figure out how we're gonna put it down that it's
Well,
not,
that was only ruled with like a 3-ton rule.
right.
It needs at least a 10-ton rule, that's the reason, like,
Yeah. I mean,
Queens Run project and stuff, and any dirt and gravel, they require at least a 10, 12-ton rule.
will they, I mean, shouldn't that be put down with a paver at DSA on that road like that?
The state lets it as long as it's under 1,000 ton. No, actually, sometimes you're paver because you can't get your crown.
I mean, I think that was kind of the problem out there at Point Road, there was a crown on the road and then
Yeah,
the plow was hitting it,
well, what they did is they paved and they put a,
right?
it needs
I'm
crown.
fine with it as long as it's done properly and
Yeah.
it's gonna hold through the winter, so we're not out there, plowing the road and taking chunks out of the road.
I mean,
and stuff.
I don't know whether a farm tractor with a plow is gonna have it,
Yeah,
but it'll need dressed before we get done with coating.
right. Okay. Redmond's protection plan,
That, I think, comes to the office.
Redmond's protection plan,
It's in your book. It's the extended warranty or for them to come back each year to service our air conditioners and heaters.
didn't we sign up to something when we first enrolled, like when we first bought that, didn't we?
And that was a year.
So it only lasted,
Yeah, and they haven't been serviced for quite some time, and they were just here because they weren't working.
okay.
So they left that brochure for us.
Alright. So this one here is circled,
And they circled it.
yeah, it's basically everything excluding this oil furnace here. We don't have to, let's look into this a little bit and make a decision and we can call them and tell them about it.
Yeah.
We don't have to,
Yeah, I think it's something we need to check with the plan.
Yeah.
It's different.
It
We'll-
was something to look over.
we'll review it and then, okay.
And that'll be for both buildings at this point, or is that just for one?
That's probably for one
I
building, I
would
would
think
say.
it's for one because they're two different units.
Okay.
So there's a heat pump over there, and we have our air conditioners here.
Which I still haven't heard anything
Is
for
your
you guys.
unit fixed yet?
They had to order
I've
parts.
been opening the windows, opening the door, just trying to breathe.
Yeah. Okay. Dry hydrant, boat launch? No.
You want to address that, Mike?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this for years, of doing something there. I know back Smitty worked on something when he worked for the county. But that road has never been a good road to get down there with a fire truck to try to pump. So we're looking at trying to get something that will come out along the boat launch so that the concrete apron will protect it and then come up along so that we have a place that not only us, but multiple fire companies come there and train. And it's too hard to get in there. Now the fishing dock's right exactly where we go to draft water, or any fire company that comes to train or do whatever. So that sort of made that area even tighter to try to get suction hose in there.
Oh, we can shift it.
So, well, like I said,
clear
it's
it.
always been an ongoing problem. You can't get into it. I asked to have the concrete steel billards at each end removed for the apparatus to get in there before somebody took one of those out in the past. But the dry hydrant would come up along the blacktop, and it'll be a lot safer for anybody that's gonna go over there to draft water.
Do you want to get quotes on it and stuff, then maybe next month we'll look at it?
I think that's a great idea. Would that come out of the fire tax funds then? Is that what you're looking at?
Well, I'll buy the grant, out of state grant, by the connection like we did up in Parentsville. We had to buy that at the bridge and a strainer.
That's a great idea. I know it's been talked about
If we
for
can
years.
get Hargers maybe to do a direct bore, it's not that far. But it's gonna be a plus for any fire company, at least in this lower end of the county that goes there. It's just that road is never wide enough for a fire truck. You park a fire truck on it and the operator's trying to work off the bank.
Is there any way they can make it a two-piece that in the wintertime it can be taken down and capped because
We
of the ice
talked
coming
about
up?
that, but I'm meeting with Norm Wolfram. I talked to him because he used to design them for the state. So Norm's gonna look at it, but probably not, just because it's gotta be a tight
I'd worry
seal.
about that ice, because sometimes that ice is up on
Well,
the blacktop.
Wayne was over there when we were over there, and we talked about so that it didn't look out of place, and so that the mowing the grass is to bring it up through concrete and then put billards around it.
Okay, would you explain what a dry hydrant is?
It's just like a fire hydrant, except you hook to it and you pull water out of the river or a pond, but it doesn't have water. It's not like a regular fire, it doesn't have water in it all the time. So we would just use that and pull a draft up through the water out of the river.
They're all over the county in different areas
Are
have
we
them.
gonna have to permit? Like,
The way Smitty talked years ago, yes, we'll have to get some type of permit. He was gonna start working on it.
should the township
Township already
use
has,
Jessica for the permitting if it's?
there already is an existing permit for this township for up along that riverbank, the whole way on the township property. So DEP already pulled it forward and looked, and there's one there. So, and I would think that might fall under it. So,
Maybe it just need updated.
yeah.
If that would help move things along.
So once I met with Norm, then he was gonna guide to which way we had to go to get the permitting and whatever we had to go through, so.
If it comes over here, we'll definitely move it along, because
Yeah.
DEP's gonna take forever.
I don't need that for you.
All right, you good?
All right, move on to floor, just kind of go right around here. Yeah, Cindy, guys.
Question. You mentioned about the iPad.
Yep.
I was wanting to get Comcast information for our office, so we can have the app on our iPad.
Right.
So if someone calls, say we're out of truck and this stuff, I can still call them back from the office number where they're at. A lot of people don't answer numbers that aren't in their phone.
So what do you need to make it work?
We'll just need the username and password for our office number.
And you don't have it?
When everything switched over from the authority to here, I'm not sure what happened, but it was.
Do you have that with, under here?
That's Steve Colonico, he's the administrator.
He has the Comcast info for that?
Administrator.
I mean, I know, like, I Comcast at home, and say, I can give each number a user, like, each telephone number should have a user.
Right. Okay.
So you could have one for your office, and you can't affect the police or,
No, it'd just be for that number, and whenever I go to that app, like, I could answer the phone from that app, like they're calling the office. And if I return the call, I just return it from the app, and it shows that the sewer department is calling that person back from the phone number at the sewer office.
Didn't-
It's
So it was Comcast app.
Didn't you have it before? I mean, we didn't switch the phone lines. I mean, I know we talked about switching.
All the business name and everything got switched, all the billing and everything got switched. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I don't have access to it anymore.
So Philonica would have that information, Jackie, you would switch it or whatever? Okay, so you have to contact Steve for it? You good with that?
Yeah, as long as it is only for one, that phone.
It can't be.
Nobody can be out on there and screw our phone system up.
No, it just should be for that phone number directly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I can
you should have a separate, would there be a separate username, or
It
do
should
you have
be.
one for your phones?
You'd have to ask Steve.
Do you have one for your phone, or no?
I do everything from my phone.
But you can see who's calling you from your computer and all that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
But
like,
you have to be logged in to do that.
You can see who's calling on your phone.
yeah, can't you like get in on, like, do you have a username for like the township's phone number?
That's what I don't remember.
Well, I'm not asking if you remember, I'm just asking if you, like, if there's one for, like, if there's a username for each phone line is what I'm asking.
I don't know about that. Steve is the administrator, and then I just have.
Like, you don't listen to your voicemail.
Check to see if you get mail, mail we can set up in there.
He's got
I mean, each bill should have their own user.
Yeah.
Like, our bill's separate,
I
everybody.
mean, you should have your own username and password for your phone, I would think.
Should, but on that switch, everything got.
Right,
So,
okay. So, we're good with that, get that set up that way?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go around, Joe,
I'm good, thanks.
back here, also back, Trevor?
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the fire tax. I did a right to know request, I got all the bills. So far, a lot of the stuff looks good. I'm very happy with the fact that they got all their trucks maintained. That's awesome, that's one of the reasons for the fire tax. There's thousands of dollars in repair, and I just like that they got stuff because it looked like a lot of safety issues. The thing that concerns me with it was the purchase of some fire helmets that were purchased. They purchased 4 fire helmets for $325, and then there's one that stands out that was $700. So there was 4 that were good, and then the one that was $700 isn't even in compliant to the current fire standards, safety standards through the NFPA, and that concerns me. And I'm just wondering why you guys approved those purchases.
Well,
Does the helmet meet?
Yes. NFPA?
Yep.
No, it doesn't. I researched it today, Mike. MSA does not. Their 5NA New Yorker does not meet NFPA. It meets OSHA.
Okay.
And that is a concern. And the other concern is it's double the price. Why are you buying something double the price that doesn't meet the safety compliancy?
Was it just a replacement for what, the exact replacement?
Yeah, that's really my
And I
only concern.
actually got-
No, I
Sure,
mean,
but I talked to
that's
him on
what
the
it was, the
Yeah.
exact replacement.
Yeah, he explained it to me why they did it
And
and
I just
stuff.
ordered 12 more of the $300-some helmets, so.
Yeah, and that's a great, actually, they got a heck of a deal on those helmets. I'm just concerned about that one that was $700 not being compliant. Because what would your workers' comp carrier say if they knew the township was buying non-compliant equipment?
can you verify that, just so?
I will, I'll call them, but I don't know why they'd be selling that helmet. to some-
The N6A, which is the Sam Houston, which costs a little bit more money, that's NFPA compliant. It all comes down to the skull liner, the skull protector. 5NAs are OSHA compliant, non-NFPA. 6As are NFPA.
Yeah, I'll call them.
Yeah, call and find out.
Mike,
That's it.
last month on our floor, you like had given us a request, for purchases.
Yep.
And just for future, can you like put like the estimate of, like this thing just says that the fire company's requesting to purchase 8 NFPA compliant helmets.
Quote worth it.
Yeah, just maybe the next time something, attach the quotes so the amounts are there. That way it's not on us if something crazy comes up, So we can at least say we knew about it and see what the, because I don't know fire equipment.
So I will. I'll add it.
Yeah, none of us know.
Yeah, so,
And
Something that's non-fire tax related. I noticed mowing my grass the other day, Wdwrd Drive starting to get some pretty big cracks in it. You might want to just put some rubber in them so that it doesn't crack anymore. You guys only paved that a couple years ago.
Okay.
I showed you, remember before it was washing out along the edges?
Yeah.
And you guys came and put riprap in, I think it was before you guys' time.
That was-
Because Brian Hoy was in charge of that.
Yeah.
But
That
now,
was-
when I mowed right in the middle of Timberwood, there's probably an inch, 2-inch gap right in the center.
All right.
So I don't want it to shift up and then get hit with a plow.
Well, he's talking about that kind of stuff. Up there on Forest Avenue, Forest Drive, which is Forest Drive, right there at that electrical transformer. Yeah, I went and looked at that for that guy there. There must be water following either where the sword stuff is. It's coming right out of that electrical box, the bottom of it, and his yard, it's a mess. He's not getting on it.
Whose property is it?
Oh, I forget what the guy's name is. But
Jack, do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
either there's a
It's
spring
fire
under that
and-
road and it's following the course of leads resistance, which I don't know where.
House fire water.
Yeah.
And, oh, it's a mess.
Well, I have the issue in my yard. I think where the problem's coming from is a couple of years ago, they were up there putting new wire in the ground. And I think when they did that, they directional bored it. I don't know if they opened up springs or hit a water, maybe ruptured a water line, a little bit of stuff. But I have a whole, there's water coming up out of the ground.
Well, that might be what's coming there.
And it's right by the electrical box.
He called, wanted to know about if there's anything we can do, but it's off ours, right away. It's coming right out of that transformer, the base, and,
No, it was another company that did it for them.
and if they didn't seal them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so.
Brandon, I think you're.
I'm just, in case there was any questions, it's my understanding that the township officials approached one of my line officers at the fire company about a situation with an individual's, a meeting of, or a member of our company, but at no time was within the realms of the company. He was on his own personal things. I wasn't exactly sure. I haven't really got clarity from anyone on what's going on.
I went over, you're talking about Robert Harris.
Correct.
I went over, Bob and I have been friends for years, to ask him, I wanted to pick his mind, that's just what I told him. If he could tell me what has been the problem between the two fire companies.
I don't, well, let me just stop right there. Wait, Mike, has there been any issues on fire calls or anything like that?
No.
Okay, nothing. There's nothing between the fire.
So it's personalities.
It could be personalities, yes.
And that's what I went to find out.
And that's, like I said, Robert came to the other board of directors and brought this up. And I talked to Mike, and Mike basically said he was on his own time, he was in his own vehicle. And the fire company has no realm over people, no different than Mike and those guys, or even Chief Alana standing here. What he does on his personal time, unless it's something criminal, doesn't affect you guys.
I just wanted some background if there was any.
Wayne, everything that between the two fire companies, and Mike just admitted to it there's been no issues on calls, everything's great. When it comes time for calls now, we call, we do the call, we get it done, and I think that there are some personal issues between certain people in the departments. And like I said, that is not coming out on the fire department, so I don't know why my fire department was brought into it.
Because it primarily, and I didn't do it, and I didn't accuse anybody, I asked Bob if he knew if there was any background that would cause a problem.
I think that a lot of the personality issues started a few years ago dealing with Dunstable Township. The Dunstable Township officials were approached about some issues, and it ended up being a dead issue. Actually, we came out and now we have a 5-year contract with them. So.
I mean, all I was wondering is why, what would cause a brotherhood?
On the fire grounds, Wayne, there is no issues.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. Everything works fine, doesn't matter where we're at. We have them on our box runs, everything like that. So from our standpoint, nothing's changed when it comes to the fire departments. They still get called. I mean, if there's a call in Dunstable Township, they're initially called. So
I hope it stays that way.
but that's, like I said, That's where it's at. There's nothing as far as the fire departments as that. I would say that there's probably some personality issues between the departments because of past practices of other people. Probably the easiest way to put it.
But that's the
Like I
answer.
said, until it starts, I agree with you, until it starts affecting the calls and the outcomes for the emergency, the people during emergencies, then I understand that. So, but that's not the case. On the calls, when we have the calls, when we do training, everything, everyone's professional.
And I don't think I accused anybody of not being.
I'm not, I'm just saying, I'm answering your question because you're trying to get a history.
Well,
and
that's
you
what I
want to know if
wanted.
there's a problem with the fire companies. There's not necessarily with the fire companies.
That's what I was trying to find out.
Yeah.
If it was between fire companies or if it was personalities. And you pretty well answered.
Can I just say one more thing? In reference to what you were talking to earlier about Bobby, Wayne Township, talked to their solicitor about what they did with their fire department.
Okay.
That'll give you the answer to what you guys were wondering.
As to,
Wayne Township basically asked them, as my understanding is, asked them to change their dissolution clause so that if anything happens to them, everything goes to the township. So it's not like the township takes them over, it's in the end, because Wayne Township is, at their monthly meeting approved to buy some equipment in that there, with the understanding to change their dissolution clause to make that if the fire company there goes under, all the money the township's put into that fire company comes back to the community, or the taxpayer base that paid for it.
oh, it definitely can be done. I never said it couldn't be done.
No, I'm just saying, you were saying I'm not sure exactly how, or who talked with Wayne Township's solicitor. I don't, it's either Paul Welsh or Paul Run.
It's Paul Welsh.
Yeah, and he would be able to tell you.
Yeah, because I do recollect researching it, and if in fact the way it stands right now, if it were dissolved, it would go to the members.
Which is surprising, because we just had to change ours at Woolrich because the state now required you to have it to go to Port of Common Pleas. At least that's what the state told us, to be able to clear up everything.
Ours is set to go to an equal community, so it would go to another fire department, or that's how I just write it today. That's how ours is set up right now. It's not the members, it goes back to like another
Typically,
fire
other
department.
non-profits that were by Port of Common Pleas or something.
Yeah, that's what ours read.
It would be in your articles.
Yep, I just read it today.
Okay.
That's,
I'll check them out.
I don't think any nonprofits can go to the membership anymore. I think they
you can't keep
got
your
rid of that,
you
yeah.
can't keep your non-profit status when you go.
Same with relief. Anything that was purchased out of relief has to go to another relief association.
Yep.
Well, what I'm saying is what would go to the members is what is left over after payment of all your creditors. It just doesn't go wholesale, free of any liens and encumbrances. But that is my recollection.
Joe, anything? No, Kevin? Julie?
The skid steer, we have it, right?
Yeah.
Did we finance it or no?
No. No, I think Wayne talked to them up there, and Carl Wallizer told him that it wasn't in the best interest to do that.
Well, one of us had.
Basically, one of us had to take the loan out.
Yeah, with the way it's through Sourcewell, which is the cheapest, you could lease it, but then it's not cheaper, it becomes more expensive. If there was a low interest loan, but either one or all of us had to put our social security numbers on and be responsible through Sourcewell.
Didn't Kubota Credit have any options?
If you went with Kubota, you wasn't able to use Sourcewell.
Oh, the state contract Sourcewell.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's federal, isn't it?
I don't know. I've never seen
CoStar is
Sourcewell.
a state and Sourcewell is federal.
Yeah. The majority of the stuff's CoStars, but
What was the final price on that? I didn't see it in the bills to be paid.
we didn't, it's whatever the bid price was.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was. It was just shy of $70,000, I believe, with the trailer and the attachment that was purchased with it.
Yeah, 60 something.
Yeah, I think you said it was like 60 years.
Yeah, 68, 69,000.
So you have possession, have you been using it?
Yeah, they've been using it quite often.
Do you know how many hours are on it?
13.
How many?
13.
You keep paying Bucks Excavating and more, is that a balance on the contract you have? Or is that extras on other stuff, or?
That's that bank kind of.
He came back in to excavate a corner off of the road out in Colorado.
So that was like the same area that he was contracted to do anyway, but this is like an extra?
This was an add-on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody?
I'll bring it up again, but just wondering if that corner drain is ever gonna be fixed. Rainy season will be coming here, bad storms, downpours, and, the water still goes down the street.
We're looking at doing some trench drains in some places in the township. So basically, it's just a big, there's like an attachment that goes on top of the pipe that can allow water to get down into it. So that's potentially an option for there. And we need to do about 3 or 4 of them throughout the township, so that's something we can look at,
Okay.
that it would catch water there.
The people down the street bought that property, they were getting water in the basement. They had to pay a lot of money to try and repair that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not talking out my butt or anything, there was issues there.
Right.
So, but I'm glad that you're still thinking about that, appreciate that.
Yeah, that's, I think, maybe a more viable option to do a trench drain across there, because it will catch water across the whole road versus some in a corner isolated.
That over by sewer.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that one up by Connie Shoemaker's up, it's, I can't think right now, anyways, up off Hickory Drive, there's a problem there. Water running down, hitting Connie Shoemaker's driveway, that's one option there for it. Yeah, so that's something, and they're around $1,500 for those, so something we need to look into getting. It's the same price if you do the concrete catch basin thing as well. So.
Okay, my last question is, when you said that the zoning officers are their own entities, and who are they going to take direction from for any problems or issues that they have questions about? Who are they going to go to them for?
They would need to contact our solicitor if there's an issue that they're unsure of. Yeah. So it's recommended that maybe the zoning officers communicate amongst themselves. So I don't know their knowledge completely on everything, but one might have dealt with an issue that another one had, and they can share information back and forth. And if they can't figure an issue out, then they can contact Bobby to resolve it.
Do they do any yearly training or anything like that?
There's no specified training for it. I mean, they were kind of thrown to the wolves a few years ago and kind of created their own path, I guess, just reading the book and asking around for, using Bobby to try and figure out situations that need to be resolved.
Sent that email earlier about a situation Mike was in where a one call was not completed,
Oh, yeah.
and, so we had no idea that there was even excavation work being completed, and our sewer line was there. But if they don't call a one call in, then we don't know about it.
Jackie, can you report like all permits to them? That way they're kind of tipped off in like one calls. That way, because I know there was an issue on Gardenwell Drive a year ago that there was a storm drain or something, I forget. But anyways, when you get a permit turned in here, can you notify them that there's a permit, that whatever, that way it might interfere with their sewer line or something that they are tipped off on it.
In case the excavator doesn't do a one call.
was
It's
gonna
also
say,
good for them to report to us because some people are out there doing work and we don't have permits for them.
And we
So
have,
it's reciprocal.
we try to do that.
Okay. Anybody else from the floor before we wrap up? All right, police report. Steve's not here. There's 34 total traffic stops, 9 written warnings, 8 verbal warnings, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 154 total calls for service, 24 follow-up incident investigations, 1,355 miles driven, and 124 gallons used fuel. Mike, fire company report?
No, I don't.
Okay, nothing really going on right now? Okay. Are you guys able to reschedule any of your fundraisers or anything, or?
Hoping,
Yeah,
hoping to get the spring run raffle in October.
right?
Is that through the legislature going to help you?
It should help all of us, hopefully.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be distributed.
It's supposed to be another grant that's similar to the state grant, given to anyone who applied to the state grant.
Yeah.
I heard at one point it's supposed to be a similar amount too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Most fire companies got what, between
So-
10 and 12, something like that.
We're gonna have a meeting here at the beginning of the first meeting we've had in 3 months, but we're gonna talk about if it's gonna be worth starting Monday night bingos
Right,
at this point or not.
okay.
We seen much profit off that, Mike.
Off Monday night bingos?
Yes.
No, but it's not gonna be just as easy as opening the door. I mean,
Right.
like, we're
That's-
already, trying to figure out the Riverfest we're gonna have. Like normally, we would put ketchup, mustard and all that up there, but we can't let people walk up and grab the container.
Right,
So we're either gonna have to put it on, hand them a packet, so those are all
If
things
you're
that
losing
are,
money or not profitable, I wouldn't do bingo.
so bingos, by the time you have somebody come in, we have somebody come in and clean now, but
right.
you're gonna have to do a deep cleaning every, doorknobs and all that,
Then you-
40-some people.
Then you probably have to have them sign releases that they understand that if they think they get COVID from here and.
So those are things we're gonna discuss, so.
Just something to keep in mind, I know you got your flyer made, you got your vendors there's a couple extra ones that are coming, but if anybody else contacts you about coming, please don't allow them to. Because we've had our vendors contact us about, hey, Stoughton Riverfest, we want to, come if we can, and we told them if we can't.
We had to redo that flyer, we missed one, there's 4 of them, and then you wanted those,
Yeah.
so we're redoing that.
So
Yeah,
it's-
there's gotta be no more vendors.
Yeah, I get those couple little ones that you guys are doing, but I don't want to
Yeah, so.
make our vendors mad for next year that they don't come because they find out that something was reorganized and they were left out or something, so. All right, zoning report, there was 4 zoning permits totaling $68. There was no excavation, no burn permits, so total for June was $68. That's it. Have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Roll call Wayne,
Aye.
John, and myself, aye.